The laughter cut through the conference room like glass breaking. Jordan Cole did not flinch, did not blink, just stood there, hands still extended toward the monitor, the flash drive dangling from her fingers like evidence no one wanted to see. "You're telling me," Dylan Reeves said, leaning back in his ergonomic chair, grin wide and sharp, "that you, a summer intern, solved the Cascade bug?" Around the table, 7 senior engineers shifted. One coughed. Another checked his phone. "Yes," Jordan said. Voice quiet. "Steady." Dylan glanced at his CTO, then back at Jordan. 22 years old, Howard hoodie, locks pulled into a bun, sneakers she'd resold twice because new ones weren't in the budget. "And you expect us to believe that 200 of the best engineers in Silicon Valley missed something you caught in? What? 3 weeks. 2. Jordan corrected softly. The grin widened. "Right. 2 weeks." He didn't take the drive. Just waved her away like smoke. "Thanks for the enthusiasm. Really. But we've got actual work to do." Jordan's fingers closed around the drive. No trembling. No tears. Just stillness. Heavier than rage. She turned. Walked to the door. Behind her, someone muttered, "Diversity hire." She did not look back. 3 weeks earlier, the email had arrived at 11 p.m. on a Wednesday in May. Subject: "Congratulations. VerseOS summer internship." Jordan had read it 4 times on her phone, sitting on the twin bed in her Baltimore apartment, her roommate snoring in the next room, her mother's voice still in her head from their Sunday call. "You keep your head down. You work twice as hard. You show them what we're made of." VerseOS, the fastest growing operating system in enterprise tech. $70 billion valuation. Offices in San Francisco that look like spaceship interiors, glass and steel and cold brew on tap. And they'd chosen her. One of 12 interns. The only one from an HBCU. She'd packed everything she owned into 2 suitcases and taken a one-way flight to San Francisco. The VerseOS campus was in South Bay. Sprawling. Modern. Everyone wore hoodies and expensive sneakers, carried MacBooks covered in startup stickers, spoke in acronyms Jordan had to Google on her first day. Her supervisor was a man named Eric. Mid-30s, kind eyes, perpetually tired. "You'll be on documentation," he'd said apologetically. "I know it's not glamorous, but it's important. You'll learn the code base, help update user guides, maybe do some QA testing. Translation: busy work." Jordan had smiled. "Sounds good." She meant it. Documentation meant access, meant reading the actual code, meant understanding how VerseOS worked from the inside. Most interns treated it like a networking opportunity. Happy hours and LinkedIn headshots. Jordan treated it like an archaeology dig. She worked late, stayed after the open plan office emptied out, the ping-pong tables silent, the snack bars dark. Read through version histories, commit logs, bug reports stretching back 3 years. And she found it. The Cascade bug. Everyone knew about it. It was legend. A memory leak that triggered randomly in enterprise deployments, crashed entire server farms, cost clients millions in downtime. VerseOS had thrown their best people at it. Tasked forces. Hired consultants. Posted bounties. Nothing. The bug was a ghost. Jordan read the reports. 34 incidents over 2 years. No pattern. Different hardware, different loads, different regions. Except, she printed out the incident timestamps, spread them across her tiny desk in the corner of the documentation pod. And she saw it. Not the what, the when. Every crash happened within 6 hours of a system update, pushed to a specific subset of enterprise clients. Clients running legacy authentication protocols, old corporate systems that hadn't migrated to OAuth. She cross-referenced the update logs. Buried in the authentication handshake module, there was a variable initialization. Standard stuff. Except whoever wrote it had assumed modern tokens. When legacy systems sent credentials formatted differently, longer session IDs, outdated encryption schemas, the variable overflowed. Not immediately. Hours later, after enough requests cycled through. The memory leak wasn't random. It was a time bomb in a single function, triggered only by clients stuck in the past. Jordan stared at her screen until 3 a.m. Then she fixed it. 12 lines of code. A conditional check. Proper validation. She tested it in a sandboxed environment. Simulated legacy handshakes. Ran stress tests. No crash. She tested it again. Still stable. Her hands were shaking when she saved the file. She debated for 2 days. Should she tell Eric? Go through proper channels? But Eric wasn't on the Cascade team. He'd have to escalate. And she was an intern. A documentation intern. They'd pat her head and take her notes, and she'd never hear about it again. So she went to the top. Dylan Reeves held open office hours every Friday. Radical transparency, he called it. Anyone could book 15 minutes. Jordan booked a slot. Prepared a presentation. Clean slides. Clear explanations. The bug, the fix, the proof. She'd arrived at 2 p.m., been kept waiting until 2:40. When she finally entered, Dylan was in a meeting. The senior engineers, the Cascade task force, were already there, going over diagnostics that led nowhere. Dylan had waved her in. Yeah, come in. You're the intern, right? Make it quick. Jordan had plugged in her laptop. Walked them through it. The timestamps. The legacy clients. The variable overflow. Showed them the fix. 12 lines. Silence. Then Dylan had laughed. And the room had followed. Now, standing in the hallway outside that conference room, Jordan felt the weight of the flash drive in her pocket. She walked past the snack bar. Past the motivational posters. Move fast. Break things. Change the world. She took the elevator down. Walked out into the California heat. And she pulled out her phone. There was a number she hadn't called yet. Hadn't needed to. But now, she dialed. It rang twice. Jordan. The voice was warm. Surprised. I wasn't expecting, Dr. Langston, Jordan said quietly. I need to ask you something. Her thesis advisor from Howard. The woman who'd written one of her recommendation letters. Of course. What's going on? Jordan looked back at the VerseOS building. Glass and arrogance. How do you make them listen? She said. When they've already decided you're not worth hearing. A pause. Then Dr. Langston laughed. Soft. Knowing. Baby, she said. You don't make them listen. Then what do? You make them need you. Jordan didn't go back to the office that day. She went to her sublet, a cramped studio in Daly City she shared with 2 other interns, and sat on the fire escape with her laptop balanced on her knees. Dr. Langston's words circled in her head. You make them need you. The fix was good. She knew it. But VerseOS didn't need her fix, not yet. They had time. Clients complained, but nobody was leaving. The Cascade bug was expensive, annoying, a black mark on their reputation. But not fatal. Not yet. Jordan opened her laptop, logged into the internal bug tracker using her intern credentials. She pulled up the Cascade incident reports again, studied the clients affected. 17 were Fortune 500 companies. 6 were hospitals. 3 were government contractors. And one was different. Global Stream Financial, the largest digital payment processor in North America, handled 40% of all mobile transactions in the US. They'd had 2 Cascade crashes in the last year. Both times, VerseOS had credited them millions in service guarantees to keep them quiet. Jordan checked Global Stream's contract. It was up for renewal in 4 weeks. She sat back. If Global Stream walked, VerseOS would lose $300 million annually, and their reputation as enterprise stable would shatter. Jordan pulled up her fix again, and she made a decision. Monday morning, she showed up to work like nothing had happened. Eric looked relieved. Hey, glad you're here. I was worried after, the meeting. He winced. Dylan can be blunt, but he doesn't mean. It's fine. It wasn't. But Eric was kind, and he wasn't the enemy. Jordan smiled. Actually, I was hoping I could shift focus. Maybe help with client support tickets? I want to understand user experience better. Eric blinked. Really? That's actually great. We're drowning. You'd be doing QA a huge favor. Happy to help. She spent the week in the support queue, reading tickets, monitoring client complaints. And on Thursday, it happened. Global Stream crashed. 3rd time in 14 months. The ticket came in at 11 a.m., flagged critical. Payment processing down across 18 states. Estimated losses, $4 million per hour. VerseOS went into crisis mode. The engineering floor became a war room. Dylan himself was on calls. The Cascade task force pulled all-nighters. Jordan watched from her corner. And she waited. By Friday afternoon, they'd stabilized Global Stream with a manual rollback, reverted to an older build, patched the immediate failure. But the underlying bug remained. And Global Stream's CTO issued a statement. We are evaluating all vendor relationships to ensure maximum reliability for our clients. Translation, we're looking at competitors. VerseOS's stock dipped 4% in after-hours trading. Jordan saw the Slack messages. The panic. Dylan called an all-hands meeting. "We need solutions," he said, pacing in front of 300 employees. "Not excuses. If anyone, and I mean anyone, has an idea, now's the time." Jordan raised her hand. Dylan didn't see her. She stood. He glanced over. Frowned. "Yeah. I have a solution." The room went quiet. "You're the documentation intern." "Yes." Dylan's jaw tightened. "This isn't the time for." "I fixed it," Jordan said. Voice steady. "Loud enough now." "The Cascade bug. 2 weeks ago. You laughed at me." Heads turned. Dylan's face flushed. "That's not. I can prove it." She walked to the front, plugged her laptop into the projector, brought up her fix, walked through it again, slower this time, showed the tests, the simulations, showed a live demo, triggering the conditions that caused Cascade, then running the same scenario with her patch. No crash. The room was silent. One of the senior engineers, Maria, the team lead, leaned forward. "Run that again." Jordan did. Maria stood, walked to the screen, studied the code. "This." She turned to Dylan. "This actually works." Dylan said nothing. Maria looked at Jordan. "You tested this on legacy authentication schemas?" "Yes." "Simulated 12 different client configurations. All stable. And you wrote this when?" 3 weeks ago." Maria's expression hardened. She turned to Dylan. "She brought this to you?" "It was preliminary," Dylan said. "We couldn't just." She solved it. Maria's voice was ice. "A 22-year-old intern solved the problem we've thrown millions at. And you dismissed her." Dylan opened his mouth, closed it. Jordan stood there. Didn't move. Didn't speak. Maria turned back to her. "Can you implement this in production?" "Yes." "How fast?" 2 days. Maybe less." Maria nodded. Looked at Dylan. "She's lead on this. Effective immediately. She's an intern." "Then hire her." The room erupted. Not in protest. In applause. Jordan didn't smile. Just nodded once. Dylan stared at her. Face red. Jaw clenched. And then, quietly, "Fine." Jordan deployed the fix in 36 hours. Worked with Maria's team. Walked them through every line. Supervised testing. Coordinated with Global Stream's engineers directly. The patch went live on Sunday night. Monday morning, Global Stream's systems ran flawlessly. No crashes. No memory leaks. By Tuesday, they'd confirmed. Contract renewed. VerseOS's stock recovered. And Jordan Cole became the most talked about person in Silicon Valley. Dylan called her into his office Wednesday afternoon. She'd been expecting it. He sat behind his standing desk, expression unreadable. "Sit." She sat. "You made me look bad." Jordan said nothing. "You went around me. Publicly. You know what that does? Saves the company $300 million? His eyes flashed. "Don't be smart." "I'm not. I'm accurate." Silence. Dylan leaned back. "HR wants to offer you a full-time position. Senior engineer track. Salary, equity, the works." Jordan waited. "But it comes with conditions. You report to me. You follow protocol. No more cowboy stunts." She looked at him. This man who'd laughed at her, who'd waved her away, who would now take credit for hiring her. "I need to think about it," she said. "Think about." Dylan blinked. "This is a $250,000 offer. I understand. Most people would kill for this. I'm not most people." She stood. "I'll have an answer by Friday." And she walked out. Jordan didn't go home. She went to a coffee shop in the Mission, ordered tea she didn't drink, and opened her laptop. Her inbox was chaos. 43 messages. Recruiters from Google, Apple, Meta. Founders of startups she'd never heard of. A venture capitalist who wanted to discuss opportunities. And one email that made her pause. From Dr. Amara Layston, subject. "Proud of you." She opened it. "Jordan, I saw the news. TechCrunch, Bloomberg, even the Wall Street Journal picked it up. Intern saves VerseOS, makes for good headlines. But I know you're not interested in headlines. So here's what I'll say. You've proven what you can do. Now decide what you want to do. You don't owe them anything. Not your brilliance. Not your labor. Not your grace. Whatever you choose, choose it for yourself. Call me if you need to talk." Jordan read it twice. Then she closed her laptop and walked. To the Mission, past murals and Takarius and street vendors. She walked until the sun set, until the fog rolled in, until her feet hurt. And somewhere between 18th Street and the Bay, she made her decision. Friday morning, she walked into Dylan's office. He looked up, smiled, the practiced smile of someone who expected compliance. So, he said, ready to join the team officially? No, Jordan said. The smile froze. I'm declining the offer. Dylan blinked. You're what? I appreciate it. But I'm not staying. You realize what you're turning down? Yes. Then you're insane. Jordan shrugged. Maybe. She handed him a folder. This is documentation for the Cascade fix. Implementation notes, test results, everything your team needs to maintain it. I'm finishing my internship as agreed. 2 more weeks. Then I'm done. Dylan stared at the folder like it was something toxic. Where are you going? I haven't decided yet. You don't have another offer. I have 6. That landed. Dylan set the folder down. Jordan, listen. I know we got off on the wrong foot. You laughed at me. I didn't, you did. In front of your entire leadership team. You call me a diversity hire. I never said, someone did. And you didn't stop them. Silence. Jordan's voice softened. Not with forgiveness. With finality. You didn't see me, Mr. Reeves. You saw a checkbox. A quota. An intern who couldn't possibly know more than your experts. She paused. I don't want to work somewhere I have to prove I'm human before I'm allowed to be brilliant. She turned to leave. Wait. She stopped. Didn't turn around. For what it's worth, Dylan said quietly, you were right. About everything. And I'm sorry. Jordan looked back. He meant it. She could see that. But meaning it didn't undo it. Thank you, she said. Good luck with everything. And she left. 2 weeks later, Jordan stood in Dr. Layston's office at Howard University. The space was small, crowded with books and plants and a coffee maker that looked older than Jordan. So, Dr. Layston said, pouring 2 mugs. What's the plan? Jordan smiled. I'm starting a consulting firm. You're 22. I'm aware. Dr. Layston handed her a mug. Sat down. Tell me. Jordan pulled out her laptop. Showed her the pitch deck she'd been building. Cool solutions. Fractional CTO services and technical audits for startups. Specifically those led by founders from underrepresented backgrounds. There are hundreds of brilliant founders, Jordan said, who get passed over by investors because they don't have a technical co-founder. Or they do, but VCs don't trust them. I want to be the credibility they need. Come in, audit the code, validate the product, help them scale. Dr. Layston studied the slides. You have clients? 3 signed already. 2 more in conversation. Funding. One of the VCs who reached out is backing me. Small fund, but it's enough to start. Dr. Layston sat back. Smiled. You know this is harder than taking the VerseOS job. I know. You'll work twice as hard for half the stability. I know that too. Then why? Jordan looked out the window. At the campus where she'd learned to code, to think, to believe she belonged in rooms that didn't want her. Because I'm tired of fixing other people's broken systems, she said. I want to build something that doesn't break. Dr. Layston raised her mug. To building. Jordan clinked hers against it. To building. 6 months later, Jordan's firm had 12 clients. A year later, one of her startups got acquired for $40 million. The founder, a Black woman from Atlanta building AI for medical diagnostics, credited Jordan in her press release. VerseOS reached out twice. Offered consulting contracts. Jordan declined both. She didn't need them. She never had. On a Tuesday in March, Jordan sat in a WeWork in Baltimore, reviewing code for a new client, a logistics platform built by 2 immigrants from Lagos. Her phone buzzed. A text from her mother. Saw your interview in Forbes. My baby. So proud. Jordan smiled. Hype back. Love you, mama. Then she returned to the code. There was a memory leak in the authentication module. Small. Fixable. She opened a new file. And she got to work. Outside, the city hummed. Rain tapped against the windows. Jordan Cole, founder, consultant, the woman who'd solved what 200 engineers couldn't, leaned back in her chair and allowed herself a moment. Not of triumph. Of peace. She'd walked away from the prestige, the salary, the name brand validation. And she'd built something better. Something hers. The code compiled. Clean. Efficient. She sent it to the client with notes. Then she closed her laptop, finished her tea, and looked out at the skyline. There was more work tomorrow. There always was. But tonight, she rested. Unbothered. Unshaken. Exactly who she'd always been.